Hello. Today we are going to study about the First War of Independence, which took place in 1857. So before getting to or start the content, we should know that what is the significance of the First War of Independence, or otherwise why it is known as the First War of Independence. It is because of that it was the first time the Indians fought united together and fought against the British government for the independence of the country. That's why it is known as the First War of Independence. And the year is also very significant. That is 1857 in the history of India. So the same reason only, it was the first time the Indians fought against the British government for the independence of the country. Then moving on to the next slide. Now, for whatever, even if a fight is a small or the big or the major or the minor fight, some causes will be there, some reasons will be there. Like that, the First War of Independence, the other name of a First War of Independence is the Revolt of 1857. So there are certain causes or the reasons for the same war. Okay, so here so mentioned about or the for the study of a convenience of a study of the causes of the first war of independence is divided into the or it is categorized into the different headings like political, socio-religious, economic, military, and immediate causes. Then afterward, this is I incorporated into first part, and in second part we will study about the consequences or the result of the revolt of 1857. So first of all, we will study about the political causes in detail. So before we start the causes, the political causes, so just have look upon some the watchwords of Winston Churchill, the former Prime Minister of England. Here it is written, politics is not a game but a serious business, which means that regarding the English in India, politics was just a business. It was not a very the minor game or the silly game. It was a great or the major business for them. So that's why only they exploited India in every manner and in every aspect. So let's see the next slide. The next is about, so we are going to study about the political causes, which were the political causes which caused breaking off the revolt of 1857 in detail. The first political cause is the policy of expansion. Then under this topic, we will study the different points. The first point is, just I say as only the 4 points or what are the main methods followed by the British government in order to expand their power. Okay, the different methods followed by the British government to expand their power. The main points are outright wars, second one, subsidiary alliance. Third one, on the pretext of alleged misrule. Fourth one, using the doctrine of a lapse. So we will study in detail all these sub-points. First one is the outright of wars. Outright of wars means by fighting with the Indian rulers is the meaning here. That is the British government, they found out one reason or the other reason to fight against the Indian rulers so that to expand their power upon the Indian rulers by capturing their territories. Some examples I mentioned here, like by the Battle of Buxar in 1764, the English became the masters of Bengal, which means that they were the winners. Second example is by Anglo-Mysore wars, they annexed the territories of Mysore. The third example is by Third Anglo-Maratha War, the most of the Maratha territories were captured by them. So these are the points how to write under the outright of words. Okay, that is you have to mention the three wars or just the three examples. Then moving on to the next point or the next method followed by the British government to expand their power here is subsidiary alliance. First of all, we have to know that what is this subsidiary alliance? It was an agreement between the British government and the Indian rulers. So those Indian rulers who signed in the subsidiary alliance had to follow certain conditions or maintain certain conditions. The first condition is the British as the supreme power. Those Indian rulers had to accept the British as the supreme power. Next condition is those Indian rulers had to maintain British troops under at their cost, which means that to maintain an army is very expensive. We know that many aspects are needed for maintaining an army. First of all, recruitment of soldiers and whatever the requirements are there or are needed for the soldiers, everything should be provided like their uniform, the weapons are needed, their housing, their food, everything, and even the training, everything is included in that. So altogether, what a much amount of money or expense is needed. But according to the subsidiary alliance, the British government put upon the shoulder the responsibility of maintaining such an army put upon the shoulders of the Indian rulers. Then the third condition those Indian rulers had to follow is they would not enter into any alliance with foreign countries. Those Indian rulers were not permitted to enter any relationship with any foreign country. What is the meaning that they could that is enter the foreign relationship, but only with the permission of the British government. And it was like that mainly the French were the main enemies of the English in India. So actually the British government did not want any Indian ruler to have relationship with any foreign ruler. If in case they are keeping, they keeping, it would be a great danger for the British. That's why only they put upon this kind of a condition upon the Indian rulers. Then the last point of a subsidiary alliance is then why should those Indian rulers had to follow such a kind of the conditions in favor of the English? Or why did they take such a kind of a risk upon their shoulders? In return, why? Because in return, the Indian rulers will get what is protection from their enemies. I will tell you, I will explain why this was a great problem for the Indian rulers. That time we know that that is at the time of the establishment of a British Empire here, India was divided into different kingdoms ruled by the different rulers of different dynasties. And all those rulers were, they tried their level best to expand their territories and their power by fighting with their neighboring territories, which means that there was no any political unity among the Indian rulers. So always there was a great danger in front of, or it was a great problem for the Indian rulers to protect themselves from the other rulers. Means suspicious atmosphere was existing among them. So that's why only to get the protection from their enemy was a great requirement of the Indian rulers of at that time. So that's why only. So if they maintained the promises or the agreements according to the subsidiary alliance, then they will get a high valued return from the British government. That was the protection from their enemies. Clear? So this is the second policy followed by the British government to expand their power here. Then moving on to the third point, third method. is on the pretext of alleged misrule. So let us understand what is the meaning of this point. On the pretext of alleged misrule means that the British government is simply blamed upon the Indian rulers, simply blamed like that they were not administering the country or their territory properly. Alleged misrule means that simply not administering properly. On the pretext means on the background of, on the context of is the meaning of a pretext, which means that there is only one example took place there in India, that the British government captured the territory on the basis or with the reason of not administering properly. So the example is the ruler of Awadh, or Awadh, the territory of Awadh was captured by the British government, just blaming the ruler of Awadh was not administering properly. Clear? But next, the sub point we are going to see that. So, due to the annexation of or capturing of Awadh, what were the effects of or effects that took place upon the people? We know that if one kingdom is there, one territory is there, the ruler is there, many aspects are needed. And otherwise, it's not an isolated existence. You know, many aspects are needed. Like administrative field, many officials are needed, you know, for the protection of the country from the or the territory from the enemies. Then one or the better army is needed, like that, and such many other aspects are needed for the existence of or maintaining of our territory. Clear? So when Awadh was captured by the British government, thousands of soldiers became jobless. Why? Because the British government disbanded. Disbanded means cancelled the army of Awadh. So that's why thousands of soldiers lost their job. The same way in the administrative field also, many officials were there, many nobles were there, all of them became jobless. So first reason is that soldiers became jobless. Second point is, or second effect of annexation of Awadh is many of the officials and the nobles in the administrative field became jobless. The next point is the people of Awadh had to pay higher land revenue to the government. Then the next point is they had to pay additional taxes on food, houses, etc. So again, which increased the burden of the people regarding the taxes. The taxes were increased by the British government after the annexation of Awadh. Now, the last or the fourth, the method followed by the British government to expand their power is using the doctrine of lapse. First of all, we can see what was the doctrine of lapse. You might have heard, at least in the that is a historic films or the serials, that many of the Indian rulers did not have their own natural heirs. So, by understanding or realizing that is, it could be a good opportunity for the British government to expand their power. Lord Dalhousie, Governor General Lord Dalhousie, introduced or passed this method, that is the doctrine of lapse. Now we can say, what is it? According to doctrine of lapse, those Indian rulers did not have on heir, heir means on claimer, or which means on son. So those Indian rulers did not have their own heir or the son to the throne. They could adopt the sons only with the permission of the British government or British company. Means they could adopt the sons, but only with the permission of the British East India Company or the British government here. So, but even then, with permission only they could do, but then also they could, such rulers, adopted sons could inherit only the private property of the ruler, but and the kingdom would be annexed to the British Empire. So this was the condition of the doctrine of a lapse. Clear? So according to the doctrine of a lapse, then there were the certain states, Indian states means Indian territories, were captured by the British government like Satara, Udaipur and Nagpur. And plus some more territories are also there. So at least these three examples you have to learn, which were the states followed annexed by the British government on the basis of doctrine of lapse, like Satara, Udaipur and Nagpur. So these are the four policies followed by the British government to expand their power in India. So this is the first cause of political causes only. Okay, the first point of political cause is the policy of expansion. Then moving on to the next political cause. The second political cause is the disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah. Who was Bahadur Shah, you know? Bahadur Shah Zafar was the last Mughal ruler. When the British government established their power here in India, India was, that is North India, was mainly ruled by the Mughals. Clear? But with the establishment of a British government, the Mughals lost their power and Bahadur Shah Zafar was the last Mughal ruler. So, in which way the disrespect or the Bahadur Shah Zafar was treated in a inhumane way, or the successors of Bahadur Shah were also ill-treated by the British government? We can see there are 2 points under this heading. The first point is in 1849, Lord Dalhousie announced that the successors of Bahadur Shah Zafar would not use Red Fort as their palace. Got the point? I read once again. In 18, the year is very important. There are possibility of asking the question for the board exam. In 1849, Lord Dalhousie, Governor General, Lord Dalhousie announced that the successors of Bahadur Shah Zafar would not use Red Fort as their palace. You might have seen Red Fort. Then those who visited Red Fort, the inner side of Red Fort, many buildings you can see. All those buildings, they were the palace of the Mughals. But he announced, Lord Dalhousie announced that the successors of Bahadur Shah Zafar would not use Red Fort as their palace. The same way, one more announcement was done by the English in 1856. This announcement was done by Lord Canning. He announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, his successors would not use the imperial titles with their names. Any kind of the royal titles, like what is Dadabai, then like that, what else? Such type of the imperial titles are there. Means the extra titles are given on the basis of a certain distinguished service, etc. So such titles would not be followed by or continued by the successors of Bahadur Shah Zafar after his death. And this announcement was done in 1856. So like that, there were two announcements were done, and those two announcements, first one was in 1849, second one was in 1856. So due to these two announcements, so it was a complete disrespect shown to not only of Bahadur Shah or the completely or wholly of the Mughals. Okay, so this is the second political cause. Now moving on to the third cause, the third political cause. We are learning about the political causes of the revolt of 1857 or the first war of independence. So the third cause is the treatment given to Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai. So now we can see in which way both Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai ill-treated by the British government. First of all, we should know who were they. First of all, about Nana Sahib. He was the adopted son of Bajirao II. Who was Bajirao II? He was the Peshwa of a Maratha Empire. And Rani Lakshmi Bai was or her adopted son was Anandarao. Then, after his father's death, he could not become or he could not inherit his father's empire. It's because of on the basis of that's as he was adopted son, and both of them were Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai. Both of them were ill-treated on the basis of a doctrine of lapse. You have already learned about the doctrine of lapse, है So there you already learned that the adopted sons could not inherit their father's empire or father's territory. They could inherit only the private property of their father. So regarding this, or if question is asking, uh, what was the reason for the bitter feeling or the bitter enmity of Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai towards the English? So you should write the answer like this: on the basis of a doctrine of lapse or with the application of a doctrine of lapse, Nana Sahib, who was Nana Sahib, the adopted son of a Bajirao II, then, at the same time, Anandarao. Who was Anandarao? The adopted son of Rani Lakshmi Bai. Both of them could not become the rulers of their respective territories because of doctrine of lapse. Clear? So that's why both of them became the bitter enemies of the British government. So now you have learned about the three political causes. The first one is the policy of expansion. Second one is disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah Zafar. And the third one is treatment given to Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai. Now moving on to the last political cause is absentee sovereignty of the British. What's the meaning of the sovereignty? Means the supreme authority. Okay, sovereignty here means the supreme authority or paramount power. We can say here the conditional meaning only I am giving. Then absentee sovereignty of the British, which means that the paramount power, which means the British government or the English, they were absent in India. Actually, they were responsible to administer the country. They were responsible to take care of the problems and the requirements of the Indians, but their paramount power was in England. England means thousands of miles away from India. In short, we can say the English were administering the country from thousands of miles distant from India. Then that's a what is opinion, or just we can think of that somebody is sitting such a far distant areas, and how that person can administer India or administer one country. So of course it is not possible. Clear? Just for the name, it is possible. Otherwise, which is not a practicable, isn't it? So that's why what they had done. What was their aim? Main aim, just to drain off or to exploit or take away or the complete resources of India for their betterment. Here we have to recollect one point, or we can compare with the Mughals. The Mughals were also foreigners only, but they established their empire here. Once they established their empire, they became the part and parcel of Indian society. They adopted Indian culture, they adopted Indian politics, they adopted Indian customs, everything. So that's why whatever the revenue collected from the people, the Mughals completely utilized the complete collection for the betterment of the or the development of India only. Unlike the Mughals, the English were not like that. Their paramount power, sorry, the ultimate aim was that the complete exploitation of Indian resources only. So this way, on the basis of all this, now you could see that that's many of the what is the people, many dynasties, or overall the whole of Indians became all of Indians became the bitter enemies of the British government due to dissatisfaction arose because of the bad or improper administrative system introduced by the British government. So these are the political causes of the revolt of 1857. Then some questions, usually for board exam, some questions can be asked upon this political causes. I have incorporated here some questions. Just I read out. The first question is, state the 4 ways followed by the British government to expand their political power. Already explained. The first one is policy of expansion. No, sorry, the first point is outright of force. Second point is subsidiary alliance. Then third point is that is on the pretext of a alleged misrule. And the fourth point is using of a doctrine of a lapse. So this is the or these are the points commander or you have to write under this question. Then the next question is mention any two effects of annexation of a Awadh. Okay, we have already discussed 4 effects of annexation of Awadh, but here the question is asked about only 2 points. So first one is that is thousands of soldiers became or lost their job. Then second point is related points. You can remember that will be easy for you. Second point is many officials and nobles in the administrative field also became jobless. Then the third question is why Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai were the bitter enemies of the British government. So if question is asking, this question is asking, your key point is that in your answer, the doctrine of a lapse should be the. This is the key point. If this point or its explanation, either the name of the application or the name of a policy or its explanation, either should be there in your answer. So you can write about, you can mention about Nana Sahib and Anandaravu. And Nana Sahib, the adopted son of Bajirao II, the Peshwa, and Anandaravu, the adopted son of Rani Lakshmi Bai. Okay, these 2 points you have to write. Next question is, write to social, okay. So these are the 3 questions which I incorporated on the basis of the political causes of the revolt of 1857. Thank you.